Warning, the following video has flashing lights and also includes content that may be deemed inappropriate for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. Susie from Emergency Encounters and, of course, Bigfoot's Barbershop have found their way into the darkness of the Fox Den as we once again link up for another epic episode of Midnight Lycanthropy. Yet please, I have been sleeping for so long, I really do need to replenish lost nutrients. Much better. Thank you for allowing me to feed. That was absolutely delicious. And now that Mr. Barber and Susie have allowed me to free myself from the shackles, it is once again time for all three of us to take a walk into the madness known as the Dogman.
Stood up. I said, oh my god, it's a werewolf, and everybody in the car freaked out.
My creatures of the night. Yes, welcome back to another episode of Midnight Lycanthropy here on StarFox Radio. Of course, we do have Susie and Mr. Barber himself. Yes, we have a new bi-weekly podcast with all three of us. They have already found their way around the late night fire as we again burn the timber into the early hours of the morning. We are going to do something very similar to last time all three of us met up. Yes, we got a bunch of good feedback from people that have secretly already heard the episode, even though it has not officially aired. We are going to allow Mr. Barber and Susie to go back and forth as they did with some very great information. If you have not secretly heard the last episode, a little cookie bit is Susie was able to nail something that Mr. Barber had not really affiliated with anything until she hit it spot on. Yes, and then for the latter part of the episode, we will be talking about missing people, Dogman activity, and the strange howls we have been hearing. Susie, how are you doing tonight, my friend?
I am doing really good. How are you two?
It's good to link up again. Glad you're doing well. What about you, Mr. Barber?
We're doing good. How are you doing?
Yeah, first world problems.
Cool.
Yes. Well, I am going to hand both Susie and Mr. Barber the mic here because last time we did conclude our brilliant episode, Susie and Mr. Barber both had some very imperative information they would like to continue talking about. Of course, I am here, and if opinions of StarFox are needed, yes, I will be chiming in. I am also trying something new with my podcast and allowing my host and guests to speak as much as possible. Yes, so either Mr. Barber or Susie, whichever one of you would like to take the platform first, let's do this.
Ladies are always first in my book. So
I was actually going to see how you've been since we last talked, Brian. Mr. Barber?
doing okay.
Okay.
You hit on some things that, we're definitely on a personal nature, and the anniversary is coming up quick. So
Oh, I'm so sorry.
it's one of those things where, and I'm sure people who have gone through it will I'll say the hindsight, and when there
Mm-hmm.
were certain events where you replay conversations like they just happened 5 minutes ago and things like
Oh,
that.
for sure. So what resonated with you last time since we talked? Something hit you?
Well, you had mentioned, and I told Kenny this, it took me a few minutes for it to click on, because my dad, you had mentioned him being in a white shirt with stains on it.
Mm-hmm.
And what that was, because my dad always wore blue uniforms. There's
Mm-hmm.
maybe 3 pictures circulating with him without a uniform on. But what that shirt was I had bought him a white Granger t-shirt, and he would wear it like a
Okay.
dress shirt. And after he passed, I took that shirt. And
Okay.
whenever I worked on the cars, I would wear that thinking of him, and I wound up getting some oil stains on it. And so
Okay.
I packed it up and put it away. I still have it, in the box full of his belongings. So
Mm-hmm. Well, that makes a lot of sense because that's what I was seeing. I was just seeing a white shirt with some stains on it, and he was wearing it and standing behind you and very proud of you and just kind of expressing his love and affection for you. And so that was really awesome.
the love that brought me, that's why I enjoy when I'm able to watch mediums and see them out helping people, because, firsthand experience of just some of the
Right.
relief it can bring and the happiness.
Right. So, did you have other questions about anything else?
I mean, more about you, because you've obviously been, yeah, if I remember right, you've been dealing with this, and, it's inherited, and you were able to, talk somewhat about it. So,
Yep. Ask away. What would you like to know?
I mean, how hard was it going to school and people saying one thing, but then coming home and,
Yeah. Well, going to school, I didn't mention it to anybody. I didn't tell unless it was like my very, very best friend, because in her house, she would have activity. And of course, if you hang out with me long enough, stuff starts to happen around you because I'm around. Because it's not like I seek it out, it seeks me. Does that make sense?
yeah.
And so I would tell really close friends about it, and they would be okay with it. But in the general sense, no, I didn't tell anybody. My parents would say, don't say anything because they'll put you in the psych ward. And we just don't talk about that stuff. I mean, that was like back in from, I was born in like the early 70s. So anytime on up, it just wasn't very well received around here. And so, yeah, it wasn't really accepted as, something that was looked well upon. I don't know if that's making any sense, but like I got told in church that evil spirits could never hurt you. They could never touch you or anything like that. And I was 7 years old in my Sunday school class thinking, well, that's a bunch of crap because they have touched me. They have tried to choke me. They've thrown things at me. I'm like, so this can't all be correct. You know what I mean? But it hasn't always been, on the negative side. I've seen, of course, the positive side, deceased relatives, angel-like figures, but I've also had the negative aspect of it. So your shadows, your demonic stuff, the doppelgangers, even things that looked more alien. Like I swear to you, on my parents' property, I was out gardening in the backyard, and I looked up and there was a golem-like creature staring at me. And I had to get rid of him real quick. And then there was another one that I used to always see in the cemeteries, where we'd go out for, like Memorial Day. It was this very short, squat shadow figure, and it would try to creep up on me, going from tombstone to tombstone, try to get close to me. And then when I would turn and look at it, it would run very fast away. And if I tried to chase it, it would go even faster. So it's just been a whole lot of those kind of experiences. But what's nice is I've had validating as well. Like I said, I've had experiences with my children where one of the homes we lived in, I think there was some intent that was being projected towards us that wasn't all that great. And we started hearing bangings and knockings on the outside of the house. We all witnessed the dryer door be open and flung, and then tripping and falling sounds coming running down towards the hallway at us. Just all kinds of things, but things we've seen together. And that's been really validating, at least for me, to be like, oh, maybe I really am not crazy, but maybe I'm just a little nuts. I don't know.
Have you ever had, obviously you've had some pretty serious and dark experiences, but have you ever had an experience where I read a certain individual's book, and when he was being interviewed, the person interviewing was being just a real not very nice person.
Right.
And all he could think of in his head was, all I want to say is your mom's coming through and she thinks you're
oh yes. Yep. I've actually had some parents come through that were not nice at all, and other things when I've been reading for people, and they wanted them to quickly resolve their issues between this mother and this daughter. The mother wanted them resolved, so the mother was deceased, right? So in life, and the daughter wasn't ready for that, but also the mother had not worked on her crap. Okay, she was still like wanting it her way. She was being like a Burger King, you know what I mean? I'm just going to have everything her way and it's just going to work out. But that's not the way things go, I mean, energy doesn't work like that. It's got to be reciprocal, and you've got to work on your own crap, you know what I mean? And try to elevate your vibration and ask for forgiveness, not force it. So that kind of thing has come through. There's been a couple times which I've actually read cards for some people where I picked up on like stalker, like vibes, not deceased people, but actual live people that were obsessed with the person I was sitting across from. And that was really unusual. And let me tell you, it's awful uncomfortable when I have to read, tell them all about fantasies these other people are having for them. So that's on another spectrum.
Yeah. How do you break that to somebody hey, you might not know this, but you got this person following you and they got pictures and this is what they want to do?
Well, the thing is, so I'm a very blunt, honest, and open person, and I just tell it how it is. And whatever the universe tells me to tell that person, I have to tell them, because I don't want to be, slapped by the universe karmically for not telling them what they need to hear, and maybe like watering it down or making it all cutesy, because it's not the way it works, right? Life isn't that way. So, I just tell them how it is. The girl, I told her, I said, look, there is somebody that watches your social media. I said, you met him once at a party or something like that. You didn't think much of him. You kind of found him a little creepy, but he watches you. And I said, and the next thing I can tell you is there's a lot of shower time by that boy to be had. And so she was kind of a little freaked out about it. She's like, I don't know who it is. And I said, okay. And then she walked away and then came back and she says, I know exactly who it is. He said, I looked up on my social media and I found the person. He's been commenting on my stuff, and I met him at a party just briefly. And she said, and yeah, he gave me the creep out vibe. She said, I know exactly who it is. So I'm like, well, you better lock it down a little tighter. But yeah, it's just interesting. So a lot of crazy stuff.
So have there been instances? I'm sure there's been, I shouldn't say I'm sure there's been, has there been instances where, maybe the parents or somebody was abusive and then they say sorry, or maybe just the opposite where they're like, I wish I could get my hands on you some more?
Absolutely. So that one that I was telling you about, the parent and the daughter, the mom was she was still, so how you are in this life is how you'll be in the next, unless you decide to change, because you still have free agency, right? And she was still trying to force her will on her daughter. She was still being a jerk. And that's what was coming through. So she was also trying to like mess with her in her dreams and at night, and the daughter could feel it. So she was still kind of being nonetheless. And then let's see. So that was one question about how they come through. And then I do have, yes, the last time my daughter and I were working together, we were at the university and we were teaching a class on paranormal instruction, how to do all this stuff. And she had the rods out, so the divining rods. And she was sitting in the middle of the classroom, and they had one of the SLS boxes, the ghost box that says words, and it scans through the radio frequencies really fast. Well, she was just trying to see who was there just in general sense, because other people had sat down and tried the same thing and they were getting random stuff, you know, hit and miss. And then all of a sudden when she sat down, because she's like me, she's a medium, a young man came through and started saying all kinds of things to her, saying, pretty lady, want pick flowers, love, I'm sorry, I'm so sorry, you know, and all this stuff. And then she realized who it was. And it was a friend of hers, that probably, like, I don't know, 2017 or so, had committed. And she didn't know about it until, you know, a few months later. And he had come through and was apologizing to her profusely and explaining to her like how much he actually did care for her. So that was a tough one for her. But yeah, it was very emotionally draining for everybody in there. And then but it did help her to resolve some things and help move on.
In your experience, sorry, this is a tough question, but one that just popped in my head. When people choose to go out their own way, is there a lot of regret, or are some of them actually satisfied that that was what they really wanted to do because they were in that much suffering?
Yeah, I think it's case by case, because sometimes so I, like I said, in my normal day, I work in the mental health field. You really don't truly know what's going through someone's head. Okay. And they can really be suffering, and they think that they're doing you a favor by leaving, you know, their loved ones behind, because they're just in so much pain and they feel like they're weighing everyone else down. So in that aspect, they think that they're helping others, and they can have regret on the other side once maybe some of that pain is lifted. But I've also met others that are just like, no, it's okay. You know, it was time. This is how I was to go, or this was my choice and I'm okay with that choice. I've run into some that were very angry about their choice of, it's just depends on, you know, just how you are in this life as well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and you said something really interesting, because I did have one experience that my sister had relayed to me, and I think I touched on it last time we talked about him finding the piece he was looking for. But she also said that he had to go that day, so one way or another he was going to go. So the fact that you said that nobody's ever repeated that in the length of time, I mean, gosh, you told me that, and trying to think where I was at in my life. It's 2004, and I've never heard anybody touch that they had to go one way or another.
Yeah.
So well, you hit on that is.
Yeah. And my thing is like, I don't sit in judgment on how anybody passes, whether it be from self or from any other factor, because like I said, we really don't know what's going on in their head. But I also look at things a little bit differently. For example, my father had diabetes. He had a heart condition. He was dealing with skin cancer, but he also had chronic shingles going on. And I could have swore one of those was going to get him, right? But he was actually working on my sister's car and it fell on him, and that way. So one way or the other, it was his time. But then you got to look at it and say, I'm so grateful that it was sudden and it was quick and it wasn't from something chronic and suffering like. So always just look for, I guess you'd say, almost like, this terrible to say, but almost like the bright side of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And, you know, this is something I haven't made public, and will be the first time right here to actually publicly say what's going on with me. It's really ironic because at the moment, you know, I'm dealing with severe shingles. I have skin cancer and testicular cancer.
Oh my
and
goodness.
have a surgery coming up in July. So it's like, that's, and I made decisions that I told people, I said, you know, surgery doesn't fix this. I'm not going to wither away. So working on a car and having that happen would probably be other than being under the weight bar for me, that'd be the ideal way to go.
And we always have choices. So the other end of the stick, my mother passed of breast cancer, right? It was a long fight of like 8 years. And at the end, she was stage 4, but she was trying to do the chemo. But every time she would fight harder, it would get worse. It would be more aggressive. And then every time she would relax and just kind of enjoy her family and spend time with her family, it would actually regress and stop growing as fast. So it was really, really interesting. And one of the times I had taken her back from the hospital from, a treatment, and she was so sick. And I was just, told to tell her, it's your choice. How do you want to leave this world? Do you want to leave it fighting and sick, or do you want to leave it happy and on your terms? So that's totally up to you. And so she made the choice to stop the chemo. And she actually lived another year after that. So
see, the universe is kind of talking to me here through you, because,
yep.
Over the last week, that's kind of the decisions I've been making is, how do I want to do this? It's like, I'm tired at this point.
I don't blame you.
And it's like, I spent the last 10 years doing things for other people. And looking back, it's like, man, that 10 years went quick where, I didn't do anything. And you know what? There's places I want to go, things I want to do. It's time to start planning for this. So, talk about another timely conversation.
I'm sorry. It happens all the time. This is my life. And I just pulled things on you. I'm sorry. I just kind of do it while I'm talking to you. And it's telling you twice I've got the Emperor. And the Emperor is, you're in charge. You're the boss. This is your life, Mr. Barber. However you want to live it, you will find victory in whatever path you choose. I've looked into your soul. You got a dang good soul. It's very independent. It's very well loved. You've got people waiting and around you right now with messages, just to let you know that they are there and you are supported on both sides. I see you have support by family on literally both sides of the veil.
Well, here we go. 2 for 2. Tears in the eyes.
Yep. So it's your choice,
Well,
whatever you choose to do. Sorry, we going down those kind of rabbit holes.
No, it's good. It just reaffirms things I've decided, or at least at the moment decided. And
yeah, you've got the 2 of Swords here twice. That means you're still struggling with the decision. You're nervous about the unknown, which is normal. Everyone is, but I can tell you from my own personal experience, because I have multiple times and come back. I think they don't like me. They keep kicking me out. It's not a bad place to be. It is a wonderful place to be. It is like getting the biggest, warmest hug from that grandmother that used to make you the chocolate chip cookies, and you used to wrap your arms around her flower-covered apron, and that warm love that used to get to her from her. It's like that times a million. That's what you'll feel. And that's what you'll see is your family and your friends and your loved ones, your pets you've left behind, all of them. Be there. And honestly, my opinion, you guys can take it for however you want, whatever you want. I don't think this is our first and last rodeo. Okay. I think we have choices still. My personal opinion, I think if you want to give it another go and learn some more lessons, I think you can come back if you choose. Dig into past lives. This isn't, I'll tell you my sense, this is not your first one.
and it's funny you say that, because here I go telling people this. I've never told anybody this. Now I'm going to tell however many listeners than you, but to me, my first quote unquote memory, my dad was an alcoholic, so hearing him get up in the morning, and he even wasn't to me, my first real memory. But to me, there's a memory before that I feel is even more real, where it was like I remember leaving someplace on a ship that was on clouds. and then just kind of a darkness, and then like my next memory is that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like I was someplace else first
Mm-hmm.
before I came here.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
you know, and I never had. I thought, man, they're gonna
No,
lock me up forever with a straitjacket.
we can be in the same padded cell. We can have a long conversation. So there are people that do have memories of prior to being here. And if you dig deep into, the internet, there is well documented cases of children usually before like the age of 11, telling you about their past lives. And they've went and found the things that they talk about and the people they talk about. And it's real. So, but you also, you have a female on the other side. When you're up at night and you're really upset in bed and you're just staring at the ceiling and you can't sleep and you're tossing and turning and you're just, you've got a lot of thoughts in your head and you're upset, you have got a female that is there with you that just absolutely adores you. I'm almost picking up like it's a mother figure.
That would probably be my Aunt Pam, because I say aunt, but she was, most of my life, she was more my mom than my mom, because when I was 7, my mom and dad got divorced, and on a whim, they were asking us like where we want to live, mom or dad. And I had been staying with my aunt, and it was like I didn't want to choose between my mom and my dad. So at 7 years old, I offhandedly said, "Well, I want to stay here."
Yeah.
And my aunt and uncle took me in, with, even though they had 3 other kids, and she was the sole income. You know, she took me in and raised me.
Did she have
completely till
a thing for flowers and the color purple?
Yeah.
That's what I'm seeing. A real thing for flowers, and she really loved the color purple. And the color purple has to do with intuition. So she knew things before you did too. She kind of knew what was going on before you said anything.
I mean, she was the most understanding person I can remember. I mean, the only one that, I got a temper. I'll be the first to admit it. I've definitely gotten a lot better hold of it over the last few years. But, when I was younger, that's why I relate to the Incredible Hulk so well, was because I felt like Bruce Banner, and then all of a sudden that would just build and build and build, and I would explode, and it was like an out-of-body experience where I'm watching myself going, holy crap, you better calm back down.
Yeah.
And she would be able to talk me out right before the change happened, we'll say. But
right. So that's more than likely one of the things you were to learn in this lifetime and work on is anger.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome that you're able to get a hold of that. Yeah, she's showing me a new beginning. So whatever you choose, there's going to be like a new beginning. Yeah, that's pretty cool. She's really pretty.
She was even prettier on the inside.
Yep, I can see that. So sorry,
okay.
Mr. Barber.
No. Trust me, I enjoy these, and I cannot express the appreciation in my heart for these.
Of course.
And I feel like I'd be sending you some Venmo or something, but have you ever had, try to change it, lighten it up a little bit, I guess. You ever had somebody you just want to call up and say, you are a full-blown wackaloon?
Oh, yeah, I've been people told me that before, but whatever.
No. I mean, people come through to you, and you want to cut them off.
Oh, yes. I've gotten crazy people before because, like I said, how they are in life can be how they are if they choose, because you still have choices on the other side. And if they had some kind of mental health issues and they wanted to hang on to that, that's what comes through. Because I've been rushed by spirits like at a restaurant, and she had like crazy hair flying coming right at me, and I was like, oh crap. So block. You can get a sense of them because if you just are in the room with someone and you just sense that something's off with them, that's you're reading their spirit, you're reading what's going on with them, and you should always listen to that. That first gut reaction on anything is the correct one. And I'm also being told to you, Mr. Barber, to go find your favorite spot that's quiet, that you're not disturbed. I want you to pose the questions in your mind that you really need to ask, or whatever it is that you want to know, because all answers are found in the silence, okay? So pose those questions in your mind, sit in that place that's nice and quiet, and just let whatever happens. So like whatever thought comes through, pictures, smells, feelings, anything, and that will actually answer your questions.
Okay.
Because like I told you before last time, we are the universe is us, God, source, the universe, we're all the same.
Yep, with the cake analogy.
Yep, cake analogy. So all the answers are found in the silence, so you're going to be able to find them within you. You don't need to ask anybody for the answers. You've already got them. And I can see some kind of tree for you. Like there's a tree you like to sit by, and there's long grass and there's water a little bit in the distance.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm laughing because I was just thinking about that. Man, I can't wait to be there.
Yeah.
So that picture was in my head. It overlooks Lake Michigan. It's up on a bluff.
Yep, that's where you need to go sit. You can just do it 10 minutes, 20 minutes, however long you want, but just pose that question in your head and then sit with it and see what you get.
Yeah, I've been going there since I could drive. It's my favorite place just to
Mm-hmm.
You can look out and pretend you're just looking out over the ocean and faraway lands and all the world's okay.
That's awesome. Okay, good. Yeah, that's what I'm being told that you need to do. For whatever questions, it does not matter. You can even go out and sit and say, am I going to win the lottery tomorrow? I can probably tell you the answer to that one. Whatever
that's an easy answer.
Yeah. Whatever questions that you feel are universally like very pertinent to you, important.
I will do that.
Yeah, sure.
How about you? What have you got going on? You already know all about me.
Oh my goodness. What do I have going on? I don't know. I just am getting up and trying to manage my life and, hang out with my family and help raise grandkids. And when I finally decided to kind of let my freak flag fly and just let everybody know who I was, what I do. And then I started working on manifesting. I just brought in what it was that I wanted. It was the jobs. It was the home. Yeah. And I've just been kind of thinking on my own, what do I want next?
How about a little game?
Sure.
For somebody who isn't empathic or gifted, top 5 paranormal items to use.
Oh, okay. I would say it also kind of depends on you, but me personally, I love that. I think it's called the ghost box, where it comes through with the words. I love that one. I know it drives some people crazy when it scans through the radio frequencies because of the static, but that one's a really good one. There's another one that doesn't do the static, but it has like a little bank of words, and you can ask your questions and they'll come up through. Now, me personally, I don't mess with Ouija board. That's, to me, I've always gotten the sense off from it that it's not for me. I know it works good for other people, but not for me. The divining rods are good, but also if you're going to go out and start talking to them, just putting a recorder out, and getting EVPs is another really a good form. But pretty much, yeah, that's what we use. Me, I kind of am the walking, spirit box, whatever, divining rod, all of that stuff.
Yeah, that was what I was meaning. If we could take that part out, because I'm realizing more and more, and it's kind of funny because it's only been in the last year or so I've been trying to embrace it a little bit, being a little empathic.
Mm-hmm.
Always felt that way, but then on one of Grizzly's shows, one of the psychics called me out on it about being empathic, and then a friend of mine who has you know, abilities as well since we were little. You know,
Mhm.
she always trusted me with that secret. And I'm like, did you know that? And she goes, yeah. Why didn't
Mm.
you? You're the one who can always go into a room and tell how everybody's feeling. You should have figured that crap out on your own.
Oh yeah.
Well, thanks a
Yeah.
lot. He could have nudged me in the right direction.
There's another
But
big one for you. You attract animals.
I
Yeah,
got my
they come
puppy
up
sits
to
right
you.
in my lap.
Mhm. Yeah, but they're random ones too. Like if there was dogs walking on the side of the street, they wouldn't be barking at you. Like, they'd come up to you and want pet. Like you
I,
attract them. That's part of empath abilities as well.
I do. I actually had, it was 2 years ago when we were Bigfooting, I actually had got a porcupine to start eating peanut butter off a
Mm-hmm.
spoon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it would
Yep.
come down the
So
tree when it would see me coming and start nibbling up. I wasn't brave enough to pet it, but
my
spoon feeding
parents got
was okay.
really mad at me because I was feeding raccoons, about 8 of them, marshmallows and cake when I was little off the back of one of the cabins, right out of my hands. They were pretty upset.
Right.
I thought
Raccoons
it
get a
was
bad
because
rap, but I love them.
oh yeah, for sure. I've been followed by moose in the mountains. I've run into bears and a pet deer in the mountain. Just randomly, they just don't seem to be bothered by me.
Yeah, I think
So
that's why part of it is I don't know, maybe I'm so lucky with Bigfoot activity.
yes, actually, so I was talking to a couple other friends of mine. One who has had a lot of Bigfoot experiences around here, in some property that his family owns around like lava. And he says that they're always coming up to him and they're just constantly attracted to him. And it's partially, it's because of his empathetic abilities, which is really interesting because I've never really heard any of them be mean to humans. Mostly all I've ever heard is them trying to scare you off because they don't want you close to them, which who knows, that could be like their territory or they got kids around there, babies, right? And they
Yeah.
don't want you in there. Um, and then also just watching what you're doing, but not coming after you, not attacking you. You know what I mean? Like we'd say the Dogman would.
Yeah, I think we are their people are the Simpsons to them. You know,
Yeah, yeah,
it's like it's entertaining because of the things we do, or especially when you get kids involved and the
yeah.
entertainment that comes from the kids. And because I did have an experience where I had lost a very dear friend, and I went to the, my favorite Bigfoot spot, which was down in the woods, and
Hmm.
I was crying my eyes out, and then all of a sudden I hear this long moan, and I'm like, it stopped me for a minute, and I thought, wow, that was kind of cool. But then it passed, and I started crying again, and another long moan, and another long moan, and it hit me. It's like they are actually, I think they're empathic as well and picking up on my sorrow. It
Yeah,
feels so
more
bad for me for letting me know.
that's amazing. Yeah, I don't think that there's some big scary thing I mean, like there, of course, they might have like a big old grandpa one or a big old dad one that doesn't take anybody's crap, right? But I don't think that they're all mean and evil. And me personally, think that they're more interdimensional. And I've talked to some native friends out here that have spoke with them, and they say, yeah, that's what they told them is they slip between dimension.
Yeah, they got
So
to do something. I did a question and answer period Friday night on my show, and the interdimensional thing came up, and it's like there's got to be something to it. There's been
oh
too many
yeah.
times where I followed a trackway and the track just stops and there's nothing for them to jump on.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It's just like in a field and the track's gone, and or they hide behind a tree and never come out. Even though you
Yeah.
go look behind the tree and you see where they were standing, but you don't know where they went.
It's just
So
gone. Yep. That's my theory as well. There's other people have reported following tracks out here in the snow, like up a mountain, and all of a sudden it's just gone. There's nowhere they could have went. They would have spotted them out in a clearing on the top of a mountain, and they're just gone.
Yeah,
So
it's
that's
insane when it
fascinating.
happens. It's cool when you hear about it. It's interesting, but when it actually happens to you, it's like, oh wow,
Yeah.
this does make you think. It's something with an 18-inch track just literally either teleported away or levitated because
Hmm.
there's nowhere else for it to go.
And I'll be honest with you. So once you start like tapping into that, like the realm of possibilities. So if you think, okay, yeah, Bigfoot, Dogman, they are real. Well, what else is real? It are fairies, pixies, brownies, those kind of things real? Are the water babies for the Native Americans here real?
Yeah, you
It
can't.
could be just an interdimensional thing because I like studying physics and if you think about the multiverse theory, there could be slight tiny versions of us out there, but there could be bigger versions. Do you know what I'm saying? That like a bunch of bubbles blown into a room, they all kind of touch once in a while, or balloons touching now and then, and we see that just slightly.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be.
Mm-hmm.
You can't draw a line in the sand at this point. I mean, we know there are other dimensions. They.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard they've proved it. I haven't actually, read the study. Even though now I did watch a video that everybody puts a lot of faith in peer-reviewed studies.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a video out now that shows that these people put together intentionally false studies and just
Oh.
outrageous false studies. And they made it through the peer review to get published in all these journals. Like some of these studies are like, okay, they're peer reviewed, but it sounds kind of sketchy. So we got to kind of watch what we read. But at
Mm-hmm.
the same time, that was somebody intentionally trying to hoax. But as far as legitimate people, anecdotal evidence or not, there's more out there we just don't know about. And
Mm-hmm.
if you can't believe in Bigfoot and not dog, well, you can, but I don't know why you would. Bigfoot's
Right.
real, Dogman's not. Fairies aren't, but pixies are.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Aliens, if you're believing in aliens, and they're here with us, I mean, like I said, yeah, they're here. So, okay, what else?
yeah, nobody talks about it. That's what blows my mind.
What else is here? So, and then that taps right into our other conversation about missing people. What if they're slipping dimensions? What if they're going through portals? What if they're being taken by aliens? Or, I mean, my ancestry is mostly Celtic, and I grew up knowing fairies are not nice, you know? So what if they're disappearing into other worlds? We can't find them. There's
That's
literally a case out here that is boggled everyone for a long time. Is Dior Kuntz, the little baby that disappeared out here, is like 2 years old. I personally, my gut feeling, everybody says, oh, the parents did something to him, but me feeling my intuition, I think it was paranormal, honestly.
yeah, same thing.
So,
If you're interested in cases like that, check out have you ever heard of the Dennis Martin case?
no, I haven't.
Real short synopsis. Dennis Martin was playing in a field with brothers and sisters, went behind a bush, didn't come
Hmm.
out. Dad was right there and reported him missing. At one point, some families saw a large, hairy person carrying a small child over the shoulder, and they
Okay.
never did. They never did find Dennis Martin again. But not only was that just the cops were involved, the Army, National Guard, and several other news agencies were covering it. And if you watch David Paulides, sorry, Paulides on Dennis Martin, he ties all this together, and it is so bizarre. It's almost like, to me, if you talk about interdimensional, it's like if Bigfoot's interdimensional, he snatched the kid and off he went into what other dimension there was, because they never
Right.
saw or heard from him again.
Right. Okay, so here's a question for both of you two. I have this weird latent memory that almost feels like it's real, but it's not real, of finding stairs in the woods, in the mountains, stairs that go up and go to nowhere. But it's not something where it was left behind by, a dilapidated building that disappeared. I mean, we're talking wilderness, and there is a random set of stairs. And I have heard one story that people have went up them and disappeared. Now, I don't know why, but that has bothered me and stuck in the back of my head for years and years. And it feels like some kind of weird memory, seeing just random stairs out in the middle of nowhere.
And I believe Star Fox and I did a show on this, or it was on Camp Nightmare Fuel. I can't remember which, but I'll let Star Fox explain it, because it's a big thing about stairs.
Okay, because I thought I was like on that end of nuts.
No, great stuff by both of you right here. As I'm just sitting here listening and filling up the good old noggin upstairs, I really don't know much about anything in regards of what y'all were speaking about. It's really awesome to definitely dive into that. As Brian knows, and you'll figure out more too, Susie, I'm very scientific based in regards of I am very much like in the here and now, meaning my foot, I can punch it, ow, that hurt, that exists. I do find what is occurring super interesting, yet at the same time, I've never had any sort of paranormal or extraterrestrial or anything based experiences. I've dealt with a few psychotic individuals. Brian, when he was talking about the Dennis Martin case, I personally think that was a Dogman. I do know some other people think, Bigfoot, but I've heard some other depictions and reports. And also when those people said they saw something, they said it looked like a hairy bear man. I mean, we have reports of Bearzilla. I don't know. It's interesting. It's definitely either, in my opinion, a Dogman or a Bigfoot, just because a family doesn't just ironically see something like that. And we have so many cases of people just being snagged, little kids reporting, hey, this bear man or this wolf was feeding me berries. They got upset when I was screaming for help. Yeah, it makes total logical sense that would be occurring. And now to answer your question about the stairs, yeah, Brian, it was actually over on good old Grizzly's podcast with you. Excellent stuff for sure. And we were just talking about, just randomly how these stairs have been found in the forest. Here's the problem, though, too, as well, like Mr. Tremblay, one of our scientists and our cryptozoologist, it's hard to verify if these were just creepypastas or not, or if some of the pictures that people show are just from foundations of buildings that weren't there anymore, or if somebody legit put those stairs there purposely for entertainment, meaning people do very bizarre things. There's an app out there where people travel all around and leave either gifts for people or disturbing things, and some people have been unalived on it. People do strange things. I mean, why, would somebody walk in the middle of the deep forest, ping it on the map that they left something here? And second question, why would anybody go out there to a remote area like that to look for something that supposedly you don't even know if this person pings on a map? Reason I say all that is there's just some wiggle room to see if, is it really occurring or was it a creepypasta? And that's something at the moment I can't figure out, and nor really can my science team. It's not something I spend that much time on. I've just come across it in the past and found it intriguing. Yet again, being a scientific-based individual, when I look and listen to other people, whether it's my science team or other beautiful minds out there, it seems like it's pointing a little bit more towards the direction of not necessarily a hoax, but just something that was, a staircase was found in the middle of the forest from a remnant village or something like that, meaning down in Tennessee in the mountains, there's a ton of old abandoned villages up there that still have like foundations and stairs and things. So when someone took that picture, did they purposely just take a picture of the stairs? Meaning, was there other remnants of a foundation? So it's super interesting, but I don't have a good answer for you.
Right. No, I appreciate that. I love your guys' scientific mind. I think that's amazing. Like that's why Colleen and I are friends, even though I'm woo-woo, she's woo-woo too. I do love and enjoy science very much, and so does she. So we get along on both aspects. But and that's wonderful to have varying opinions and facets of thought, and so that is amazing, and that I appreciate very much. So I just sort of wondered if you guys had ever run across anything like that. I had read somebody, a forest ranger, reporting something like that too. And in Idaho, we have like some of the biggest wilderness in the lower 48. So that's also like a kind of a thought for me, is like, would you really find something like that out in the middle of literally, hundreds and hundreds of miles of no civilization at all without a reason? So I don't know. It's interesting to me.
Man, acute observations and great questions as well right there. No, I totally appreciate those kind words. Again, I always tell everybody I'm willing to sway my opinions on everything. I mean, even what we talked about when my opinion per se was asked, I would be willing to change my opinion on all those things again if the same beautiful minds that helped me figure out why I have opinions about things now could sway my opinion about stuff. It's no different than when we all used to think dinosaurs were just like these crazy huge lizards, except science continuously shows with fossils and imprints left on rocks that certain species, and probably the majority of them, had some sort of down feathers. Super interesting, right? A lot of people still won't even change their opinion about that, meaning one individual I know, I tried to explain to him about how raptors, okay, yes, the birds of prey, birds in general are pretty much dinosaurs, meaning there's proof a lot of them have evolved that way. Why is the chicken, why is the turkey, the emu, why are they so closely related to the rex, Again, that's such brilliant stuff. So obviously the first time you hear that, you're like, oh, what the heck? Little like furry like bird dinosaurs running around. But then as you see the evidence and you listen to the brilliant people, you're like, well, yeah, that's the way the analytics and that's the way all the evidence is pointing. I'd be a fool to still be buying into the fact that this wouldn't be occurring,
Right. On a side note of that, what I love is that they're continuing to discover new species and other species that they thought were extinct and, and completely gone, and they're finding them. I think that's incredible, because for a while there, the old Kraken, that was a myth.
Yes.
But, now it's not.
Brian and I actually spoke about that. Yeah, a little while ago, about how Doug Hijack, the guy that started Monster Quest, was actually one of the first people to get that on camera, because a lot of people don't realize Doug's a engineer when it comes to camera equipment and stuff. He's built some of the world's most interesting and first-hand cameras that had been never used before.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, so cool. Excellent stuff. Well, is there anything else you two excellent minds would like to touch base on tonight, or bounce back and forth before we let you get boogieing?
I need to express personal gratitude and appreciation to Susie again for what she did for me tonight.
Absolutely. And if you need me again, you know where I'm at. And also, Star Fox, you have an open invite. You should come out and hang out with me and Colleen and Celeste, and maybe some of our woo will rub off on you, and you might see something.
Yes, that would be very interesting at some point to touch base on. And on a super humorous note, I just literally imploded inside a little bit because the Winnipeg Jets, with 1.6 seconds left, just scored on the Blues to send it to overtime. And I just literally just want to, like that. But, yeah, so
That's awesome.
Yeah, huge hockey guy. That's why Brian made that reference earlier. At some point, I don't fully know, like my living situation at the moment, unfortunately, because I don't have a full-time income. I'm trying to get monetized on YouTube. Every time I try to apply for any sort of work from home, etc., I'm either not cool enough, over cool enough, whatever, the same old jibber jabber. Long story short is, at some point, once I get monetized, because I don't want to do any sort of address changes and things like that, because I need to get monetized, and then you can go in and mess with your Google AdSense, because if you mess up your Google AdSense, you can never have another one, and you have to redo your whole entire YouTube. Yeah, brutal. So
Oh,
once that occurs, then I'm supposed to be talking to Colleen because I might need to go like stay with her for a while because if not, I'm going to be kicking in a box somewhere. So
yeah, that would be amazing. It'd be so much fun.
yeah, I've talked to her a bunch about that and Dirty Birdie for sure. So I'll keep
Mm.
y'all in the loop, definitely. Susie, however you're cool with, let me know how to get Brian in contact with you if you and him ever want to, if you want to go over on his show or if you have questions for him or if he has questions for you. Obviously,
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
gonna give out y'all's phone numbers to each other or emails until I get the okay. But yeah, just let me know however you want me to do that. I'll open up a chat on Facebook, whatever, and I'll definitely link y'all up for sure.
Yep. You have my permission. Absolutely.
Cool. Appreciate it. Well, to
Of
the
course.
audience, yes, these two individuals will be back very soon. You will hear from Mr. Barber before Susie. Yeah, no worries, because you can actually change that if you head on over to the good old Emergency Encounters podcast that is going to be listed, of course, in the good old description down below. As previously stated, and everyone should know, Mr. Barber is a ×2 weekly host. Susie, yes, is a bi-weekly host now on Sundays with Mr. Barber and myself. She will have a playlist down below as well, including what we have all done here. And you already know that's where Mr. Barber and I's accumulated podcast will be. Yes, and no worries. I have some great news for everyone out there. Positive feedback from the good old listeners. I will be consolidating almost all of my podcasts like I'm doing here, getting multiple hosts on, which will allow for great information to be put out there. It will allow for me to have to speak very minimally unless I need to, which is the whole reason I built this platform. It will also give me some more free time to get caught up on editing and organizing myself. And no exaggeration to anyone out there, I have 35 hours worth of videos stored up on the good old Google Drive that I will be able to now, without stress of when can I back my phone up next, or oh no, is it 30 days before this gets deleted in the good old Skype world? No, it stays on my Google Drive until I delete it. So yes, I can pick and choose a little bit more of the brilliant content that will be coming out. So yes, be on the lookout for that. Until next time, though, we do need to allow Susie and Bigfoot's barbershop to get back to things they do need to attend to. And if I do fear anything that I did leave out earlier, of course it is the sunlight. I can't burn myself. Thanks for hanging out tonight, Susie. And Brian, I appreciate y'all.
Thanks for having me.
Always love and appreciate being here. Thank you.
Oh, my creatures of the night, you legends, you. I do adore every single one of you. And thank you for hanging out tonight. Please like, comment, subscribe, share the truth to the algorithm, and we will catch you very soon.